Ladies and gentlemen, what's going on? It's your boy Cal Griffin here, and we are back with another edition of Legends Talk. Legends Talk, man, it's a place where legends meet. You know what I'm saying? I'm a legend. They're legends in their own right, and you know what I'm saying. We just chill, chop it up, and talk some talk some sports, talk some basketball, some photography, just a little bit of everything. But tonight we got something special, man, for you guys. We have none other than Johnny, the shooter, Izquierdo. Johnny has been, doing his thing for some years now, and just in a matter of a few years, been able to shoot some very high profile clients. But let's get into it. Everybody, Legends Talk. Johnny the Shooter. Holla at me. You know what I'm saying? Let's get into it. My God, what's going on, man? How you doing?
Man, I haven't seen you in quite some time. I feel like the last time I saw you was like Big East tournament right before it got canceled.
I know. Yeah, we were there right before everything got shut down, right?
Yeah, I was the last game was St. John's and Creighton. Yeah. They called it at half. I feel like it feels like yesterday. It feels like yesterday, but it's crazy to think that was like March 15th or whatever it was, and just like that was like legit like the last game that I saw you. So man, I appreciate you having me on, and looking forward to the conversation and just chopping it up.
Of course, man. You're a legend in your own right, man. So it's only right. A lot of media outlets, they only focus on the actual player, right?
Mm-hmm.
And for in terms of having a outlet, that's what people do. They you interview the players, and whatnot. But here at All Things Hoops, I like to encompass the entire culture of basketball. And you, my man, you are right in the middle of it. In terms of being on the other side of the lens, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
And oftentimes people don't get to see who the hell is taking these pictures. Like who the hell took that picture that anyway, we'll get into a bunch of stuff today, man. Johnny the Shooter, again, a legend in his own right. And I'm humbled, and it's my pleasure to have you aboard of Legends Talk today.
Yeah, again, I appreciate you having me, and excited to kind of like dive into it. And it's really nice to see more people interest in giving some light to people behind the camera, because that was pretty much that's a lot of my goal in what I'm doing with photography and stuff, is to give the photographer a voice and a face if you want to. Right. Not a lot of people want to, because traditionally we're not. So it's nice to see that I feel it growing, the peaking interest of the content creator.
Right. Absolutely, man. Before we get into it, I want to definitely make sure that I shout out the sponsor for this platform, Legends Talk, SoulPack. SoulPack is a terrific company for the baller out there. If you're a baller and you need a bag, definitely check out SoulPack. You can follow them on social media, Instagram, and all that good stuff at SoulPack, SoulPack. And we're gonna get into a quick commercial. Check them out, SoulPack, everybody.
Wavy Boy Productions.
That was Soul Pack. Everybody, again, follow them on social media. Check out their webpage, Soul Pack, man. But right now, it's about Johnnie the Shooter. I appreciate you again, but we're gonna get right into it, man. We're definitely gonna talk about what you have going on in terms of, your new venture, the podcast that you've created, and about to launch very soon. But first, I just wanna definitely ask some questions about how you came up, and and some of your journey in terms of the sports photography world.
For sure, yeah.
So Johnnie, tell me, how did you start? How did you start getting into sports photography, and what attracted you to it?
No, yeah, for sure. So I started photography later in life. I didn't go to school for photojournalism or photo at all. I graduated school with a public relations and a business degree. And like many other students and college graduates, I kind of got an entry-level job just like anyone else. Went on through, my early and mid-20s, working that job, absolutely hated it. And just to fast forward, I was kind of going through that really like weird mid-20s type of time. And if you have a lot of viewers that are younger, you guys, I'm sure at one point will either feel like this or maybe not. You're not really sure what you want to do. You're battling what society tells you should be doing, what your parents may want you to do, and deep down inside what you want to do. So I was at a very big crossroad in my life. And then at the time, I will never forget, my mother was really hinted to me to picking up a hobby. And that led me to getting a camera. That camera led to me taking landscape photos of the city, photos of friends, photos of babies, photos of food, everything but sports. Everything but sports. I literally have a Facebook status from 2016. I keep it saved just to kind of keep me reminding. And I was literally begging people to let me photograph them. And the status says, food photography, your newborns, maternity shoots, your engagement, weddings, headshots, whatever it is, I'll photograph you. No charge, just hit me up. Like I was just so eager to learn. I was becoming obsessed with photo. Fast forward to a year after, I was working at this bar. I quit my job. And decided that I needed some time to myself to kind of figure out what I wanted to do. I was working at my buddy's bar here in New Jersey, and my friend from high school, he went to a rival high school, and we haven't seen each other in years. His name is Trevor James. He's a coordinator and program director and founder of Northeast Basketball Club. And
Trev, what up, Trev?
Yeah, shout out to Trev. Yeah, he came into the bar just one random day, and we were just chopping it up, catching up. And then he asked me, hey, I told him what I was doing. I was taking photos on the side. And at that time he was coaching his AAU program. So he had like Nas Reed, Javon Quinterly, Lewis King. What's the dude at, he's in the Celtics now, Tremont Waters, Luther Muhammad, just a stacked roster. I didn't know what it was going into it, but he had asked me, hey, if you ever want to come photograph my kids, you're more than welcome to. So I said, yeah, absolutely. Without a doubt. They had a game down at Dykeman. It was New York versus New York. So for if your viewers know who New York versus New York is, or if you don't, it's literally one of the most iconic tournaments that Nike has probably created, I guess. It's legendary to me, so I love it. Right. And I never forget, I went down there, and again, I didn't know the world that I was stepping into. I just went there to take pictures for Trevor. I went, sent him the photos, and, he loved them, and then I went back, and then the last time I went back, the third time, was the semifinal for it, right? And at the time, I didn't know that it was a Nike ran tournament, so I was just kind of I just went there, had my Adidas boots on, I'll never forget it, and then he introduced me to my buddy now, Michael. He works at Game 7 Marketing, and he's like, hey, listen, like, I'm sorry, but you're wearing Adidas, can't let you on the court, but you can shoot from the stands. And I said, okay, sure. Photographed, and I didn't really know how to do sports at the time. I remember Googling it, like, hey, how do you photograph sports?
Right.
And after the game, long story short, after the game, I apologized to my buddy Mike, and I got his email, and I said, hey, here are the photos, do whatever you want with them. And then he hit me up a couple of days after and was like, hey, what's your deal? Like, who you work for, what you do? And I was like, oh, what do you mean? Like, I didn't even know that this was a world.
Right.
And then that was the beginning of me photographing sports. Like, that was the birth of it. And then from there on, me and Mike kept in touch, and I started photographing high school sports only, like basketball. But I was the only one on the East Coast doing it. It's not how it is now, where it's like the NBA Finals with media. You know, it was a very different landscape, and this was just a couple years ago, 2017, at the end of 2017. So yeah, that was the beginning of how I dove into sports and photo in general.
Right, and I remember at that time. Okay, my bad. Soul Pack is on a check-in.
Yeah, shout out to Soul Pack NYC. Appreciate you guys having me.
But yeah, in terms of you, I mean, I remember that wasn't so long ago, right?
No, it wasn't. Yeah.
But you know, things happen so quickly with you, especially in this world, right? This is a legitimate world that you kind of went into, and you know, like you said, now is just so many. It's just so saturated with individuals that just, you know, grab a camera and say, "Hey, I'm you know, photos by
by whatever." Yeah.
whoever.
It's a whole different landscape. And I was telling someone the other day, I was like, was I the best then? No, I didn't know anything, and I think even I have so much to learn now. But back at that time, the reason it happened for me so quick, which a lot of peers of mine now will tell me, like, dude, what you're doing would take somebody 10 years to do. I was doing it in 2 years. And it happened. It was a lot of timing. And it's kind of what I tell people in life. Like, dude, you have to trust the timing in your life. And it was just the perfect time for me. I was in a good situation. I was prepared for an opportunity, and the timing was just right there. And it's a lot what I preach is, like, you have to trust the timing in your life. And when that opportunity does knock, you have to be ready. But if you're not ready, then that means that wasn't there for you. You know, that wasn't that thing wasn't there for you. You know, whether it's love, life, job, passion, whatever it is. So at that time, mind you, in 2017, Bleacher Report Hoops, that account wasn't booming as it was now. I don't even think it was started at that time yet.
Right.
Slam had just stepped into like the digital space with Slam High School. That was just the beginning of it. And Overtime was starting to peak. You know, starting to ascend, but there was nothing else.
Right.
So I kind of came in with that first wave of like Slam High School, BR Hoops, and I think I'm almost positive BR Hoops I had started and they had not started there. Bleacher Report was active, but not the BR Hoops digital page.
Right.
I'm almost 99% sure of that. So I came in with that wave. So that's what really kind of helped me. Like, whoa, who's this kid that's documenting all this grassroots hoops? It was who's this guy that all these top level players are reposting?
Right.
You know, mind you, though, I flew myself down to a City of Palms tournament. I drove myself down to Delaware. There was no media there. So at that time, James Wiseman, Vernon Carey, Scotty Barnes, Cole Anthony, Moses Brown, JQ, Sharif Cooper, Isaac Okoro, all those dudes, they were only reposting my stuff on the East Coast side. So everyone was like, yo, who's this guy? So that helped me a lot, like to get that street cred, quote unquote, you know?
Right. That helped propel you into the game pretty much. Yeah,
like as far as like culturally, you know, like as far as like, yo, who's that guy? Like, oh, okay, damn, you know, that kind of vibe.
I mean, you know, from the outside looking in, I looked at your stuff from day one, and and you know this because when I started my thing, it was more so, you know, hey, I'm not a photographer, but you know, maybe I'm a writer, and maybe I can attach somebody's photos to my writing and create, you know, something larger than life. All I have to do is kind of give you the credit. And you know, hey, I can do that all day long, you know.
Exactly, and it's a lot with what a lot of these writers do, you know. And the thing is, you got to utilize your resources. So yeah, I remember we chopped it up with that, and it's like it's interesting how things have just came so fast, you know. And it feels like you said when you said in the beginning of the intro that I've been doing it for years. It kind of feels like that, even though it's really only been now 3 and a half, yeah.
Right. So that trajectory is almost straight up.
yeah, man. Like I tell you this, I didn't buckle up for this ride. I tell you that.
Right.
I kind of just went, but like then I put my seatbelt on when I was almost at the top, you know.
Johnny, what was the actual like very first opportunity that that you literally had to kind of step back, mentally and say, "Wow, I can't believe I'm getting this opportunity." Like, I can't believe it, and even maybe you had some doubts about yourself. Am I good enough for this? Or when was that first opportunity that kind of opened your eyes that way?
Yeah, for sure. No, that's a great question. I think I can give you like 3 layers answer, because I think the first opportunity that I got was big for me. I never forget it. Game 7 Marketing had this thing they do at LL Cool J called Jump and Ball. It was a very community event, but it was my first like big paid gig with like a known person, LL Cool J. So I think just off that, I was very, very nervous, right? That was September. That was August 2017. Just being my first gig, and I was just like, oh my God, I'm getting. There's so much to learn. While you're doing it. I think shortly thereafter, 4 months after that, I got connected with some people at Nike. My good friend Sadat had got a job at Nike. They had connected me with this agency, Victory, that they use. And I had built a connection with them, and they had said, hey, they heard a lot about me. They wanted to fly me out to see kind of how I worked and all this stuff. We ended up hitting it off. And then I think my first gig, big gig for me, I'm a big like basketball guy, big LeBron guy. And I never forget, I was just telling my friend about this. 2018, February 13th, I got an email from the agency, and they said, hey, we want to fly you out to All-Star Weekend. That year was in LA. They're like, hey, you're going to be working for 4 days. The 4th day, you're going to photograph LeBron and Ronnie. I always butcher his last name, the Kith guy.
Ronnie 2K?
Yeah, no. Ronnie, the Kith dude, not 2K.
Oh, okay.
I think his name's Ronnie Feig.
Feig or something like that, right?
Yeah. If I butchered it, I'm sorry. But yeah, so it was to photograph LeBron and Ronnie at the launch of the Kith store in West Hollywood. So I was like, holy shit, man, I'm going to photograph LeBron? This is crazy. This is everything I dreamed of. Like, I wrote it down on my whiteboard. I was like, yo, this is going to be legendary. And then I was like, I'm kind of like, how do I say it? Like, I would say I'm a dog in the sense of like, I feel like I'm the best, so I kind of always had that killer mentality, even growing up. But when I got there and it was showtime, I got nervous, man. Like my palms were sweaty. And I even referenced this in this spoken word thing I do. I had dropped a spoken word, and I said, when LeBron was walking in the room, my chest tight, my palms were sweaty. I was breathing heavy. My hands were shaking, but I kept the camera steady to kind of like, that's how I was feeling that first moment that LeBron had walked in. And I was like, man, this is my favorite athlete. I can't even believe that I'm here. I'm a kid from a small town in New Jersey with no high school, no photo background, like such an unassuming, like I never thought I would be doing this. I always thought there was something great for me, but I didn't think it was going to be this. So I was like, holy shit, I'm here.
Right.
Right. And then there was one more after that. When I later that year, Kevin Durant was on the Warriors. And there was this flight that I had went on to him. You'll see the photo back here of Katie on a plane.
Yeah.
And I think that moment I was like, I was nervous as well because I felt like the scale of the jobs were getting bigger. And then I was like, shit, man, I'm here. Like, this is for real for me. Like, I can make this. I don't need to get another job. Like, I can make this a career.
Right. So
those early moments in my life, shout out again to the Victory Creative Group. You guys have really kind of catapulted me and been such a base foundation for this, along with Game 7 Marketing. Shout out to both of those companies. Really kind of helped me kind of get to see the world that I can make this something. So those first few moments I'll forever cherish in my heart. And obviously now as like I get jobs, I still get nervous, but like it's like good nerves. I do feel much more confident and comfortable in myself. Those first few ones, it was very like, damn. Like now I expect myself to be here,
Right. I mean, you've put in the work. You know what you're doing. You're confident in what you're doing, and when you're confident like that, it's easy. Things become easier, and you kind of give that off. You give that confidence off, and it's elevated you to a level. I've had conversations with other individuals, other photographers, that in that New York City kind of world, and just kind of shooting the breeze. We come up with who's the top five photographers in the game right now, and your name is right up there, man. 1, 2, maybe
that's nice.
maybe 1, maybe 2.
That's
You
nice
know?
of people to say that then.
Right. I mean, it goes hand in hand with the actual quality of your work and the people who the athletes who you've had the luxury or opportunity of shooting. Everybody can't get that LeBron gig, and that KD, you can't be on a plane with KD. So just having that level of exclusivity just kind of elevated you. I've watched it again. I've watched it from the outside looking in, and I'm like, holy crap! Like Johnny's out of here, man. He's
Yeah, that's
out of
what
here.
a lot of people would tell me, like when they started seeing it happening, they're like, "Man, you're out of here, huh?" Like, in the sense of like, "Yo, you're done with this like local shit,"
Right.
which I never. The thing is, I think that sometimes I wish that I started earlier in my life, but then I realized that me growing up and understanding like the values of like the people that got you there will always be ingrained in me. Like for instance, like Trevor, right? Like I would never switch up on him. Like if I was free and he wanted me to go photograph a workout, I would never charge him. Never. It was never like that because he
Right.
was the key that unlocked the door for me. So like I would never switch up on people that I know are important to me in my support system. Like I mean. So I would never switch up. I like to stay true to my core, or my team, or my support system, however you want to label it. But I do agree with you. Exclusivity and access really can separate a shooter, a photographer, or a content creator, and or a writer or whatever, right?
Right.
But it shouldn't define you, though. I do want to make that a point. Like, obviously, you have to be a certain type of level to be on. You have to be good enough to be on a plane with KD, and you have to be good enough, and I think a little bit of luck and whatever to get that access. But you can still be very, very elite and never touch and never photograph a professional player. I just want to make that very, very clear, because I know people that are lights out at photo, and they only photograph high school football, hockey, and you know what I mean. So if you get busy, if you're elite at this stuff, you're dope. Don't let it feel like, oh, just because I don't work with Giannis or Kawhi that I'm whack. That's not the case. You can still be very, very, very elite at your craft.
Right. Just work on the craft until it's that moment to.
Yeah. And then, like I said, there's so much avenues to do. Like, just because, like I said, just working with Kawhi or Zion, whoever it is, like that doesn't make you like, you can make a career without working with them. Like I know multiple people that don't even work with professional athletes and they do very, very well for themselves. Right. Like if you're dope at what you do, whether creating emotion or storytelling or lighting or whatever it is, you can make this shit happen.
Right.
But like I said, I've had the luxury to surround myself and be in a circle where like this is the lane that I'm in and becoming known for this, which is great. And it's really nice to hear people kind of put me up in that regard, whether it's top 5 or top 2 or 1 or 2. Like it's so subjective. Like I didn't even know that was a conversation that I was in, which is cool.
And that's just that's like barbershop talk.
Yeah, no. Hey, listen, man, it feels good to be a part of that. Like I said, I know what I'm chasing. I know what legacy I'm chasing, and that's all I'm focused on,
Absolutely, man. Now, I know that, like we mentioned, exclusivity and the in terms of the events and whatnot, right? Mm-hmm. And I've run into you on the garden floor, man.
Multiple times.
Multiple times. Yeah. And it's like it's almost like like that's my guy. Like he's you are on that kind of level that level of elite photographers and whatnot, but you're still down to earth, still humble, and you still work hard. You still work hard at what you do. So definitely salute to you with that.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I think that's like I said, just to drop this in there. I always wanted to keep a level headed, and I tell kids that either message me or ask me questions is the keys to life, to being success is being a good person, and just working harder than everyone else. Like if you work harder than everyone else, get to where you want to get to, and then don't become, and you're a dick or you're rude to people, no one's going to want to be around you or work with you. So the keys to success is being a good damn person and being honest, being true, saying hello, shaking a hand, and just outworking everyone. And that's it. I don't have this like scientific formula that got me here other than, working hard, being a good dude, and then just trusting the timing in my life.
Right, man. Shout out to my guy, Moving Pictures, man. He's also a photographer, very elite. Out of that New York City batch, man. He's like you see there, man. The GOAT, man.
Yeah, shout out to Moving Pictures. That's my guy right there. We've been in touch for I think past couple of years now. We've been on a couple basketball hardwood floors together. So big shout out to him. And again, it's really nice to just kind of just be a part of like that barbershop talk. And it's cool that even photographers are even starting to become into that. And I really want to be, I tell you this, Cal, like I really want to be a pioneer for that, where I can be a face to let other creatives know that, yo, we should be seen and we should be talked as people talk about musicians and hoopers and photographers and video guys. Like, why not? We're painters and the Van Goghs and the Kanye Wests and the LeBron James and why not? Why? It's just because traditionally it's behind the camera. No one talks, no one knows who you are. But I vowed to myself through this pandemic that I wanted a forefront of this. And that's why it's kind of led to these other ventures that I'm tackling now.
No, absolutely, man. In terms of, when we run into each other on the, garden floor, Barclays, wherever it may be, quick question about that, right? Like, how do you feel, at these big arenas and, shooting these, from a personal standpoint, how does that make you feel that your work is getting recognized for being what it is, and you getting these different opportunities, and, getting just recognized and acknowledged for all your hard work?
Yeah, I mean, oh man, it's so crazy. It's just like it still feels so like refreshingly amazing to me being able to like. I never forget for the Kyrie Invitational this past year, right? I had photographed that for Nike through Victory, and I walked onto that Brooklyn Nets arena like before. I was there before the whole setup, setting up my cameras, and I just kind of looked up and I'm like, man, like I got into photo as a hobby, So to be able to get financially rewarded from it, and then be in places like the Brooklyn Nets floor, it's like so surreal to me still. But I still have that part of me is as at my root, but I'm still like when the lights are on, I'm locked in, and I'm there, I am there to, to kind of chop it up and say hello to people, but I'm there locked in to create these like legendary, iconic moments that, that will forever live on and hopefully continue to put me in that upper echelon of barbershop talk. So as surreal and amazing as these opportunities, whether it's KD on a plane, whether it's with Kawhi in California, whether it's with, RJ Barrett in New York, or whether it's the Brooklyn Nets shooting high school basketball, or whether it's shooting a Knick game, whatever it may be, it still feels so crazy to be under these lights, No,
of course, man.
Yeah, man.
Even for myself, I don't think that I was even, personally, I don't even think I was actually worthy to be, on that. I had to do what I had to do in order to get on that floor, man. And for, it really resonates as like, yo, you made it. It resonates as, you, like you said, you look at the bright lights. This is the plateau of where, people, work for years and years to get to.
Yep. And when you get there, you don't want to, when you get there, you're not letting that go because you put your work in.
Right.
It's not easy as a writer and a publication to get in there, man. If you're not USA Today and whatever, it's the same way. Like, dude, it was hard for me. Not a lot of people know this because a lot of work that I do, I keep it to myself, not because I'm not proud of it, it's because, I can't release it and whatnot. But like, I worked with the Knicks, 75% of the season. I like photographed a lot of their home games, and it's just like, to break in there, like it's not easy. And MSG is like, bro, it's not like, it's literally like Alcatraz, like
Fort Knox.
Yeah, I mean, so I'm very, very thankful for all this stuff, man. And it's like I said, when you put the work in and you get to a certain point, man, it's just like you don't want to let it go,
Right. Now let me ask you this, from the photography aspect, whether it be LeBron James, with a scheduled shoot, or somebody from a high school athlete. I know you were you were pretty close with Aiden
Mhm.
from Louisville, and used to do a lot of shoots with him. How do you make a subject feel comfortable, with respect to a photo shoot? This I'm pretty sure that a lot of people don't have experience, being in front of the camera,
For sure.
in a photo shoot like that. But how do you make somebody feel comfortable, whether that be a LeBron or somebody from high school or something like that?
No, for sure. I think it's a great question because I think that's going to be pretty much like 65 to 70% of the battle is making your subject feel comfortable, because once they feel comfortable, their guard is down and they trust you, and you can get through this. You can get legendary images through that. So I think my first advice would be this, and my first steps is this: know your subject first, right? So let's say, for example, it is LeBron. I know that he's probably done 500, 600 campaigns, so I understand that, hey, he knows as somebody like LeBron in stature, depending what I'm photographing them for, that'll be like the level, like let's say if it's like for the cover of Sports Illustrated, I know that he's going to be excited for that.
Right.
So, you got to know your subject, know his history, know what he's photographed, come to him with good ideas, but also let him know, like, hey, listen, like if I was doing this, I'd be like, hey, Bron, listen, like super excited for this, man. Like I'm ready to create legendary, iconic cover, one of the greatest covers ever. I have a bunch of ideas. I'm going to run them by you. I'm going to show you them. Whatever you don't feel comfortable with and not do, whatever you don't want to do, we won't do it. We'll just keep moving to the next one. All right. This is your show, but I want to make this legendary. So that's how I would approach something like that. I want him to let him know that, hey, I did my homework. I know who he is. I did my homework again. I'm putting my heart into this, but I also want him to be in the driver's seat. So, like, hey, if I don't want to do something, I'm not doing it.
Right.
Okay, cool, fine, bet. But just know that I have your best interest. So for me, it's building that relationship, even if I only have 20 minutes with LeBron or an hour with him or 15, or whether it's LeBron, like I said, RJ Barrett, Kevin Durant, Giannis, all these guys, I've all said the same exact thing to them. Hey, listen, I've been brainstorming, working hard, some really cool ideas. Whatever you don't want to do, we won't do it. We'll move to the next one. I just want you to tell me, and I'll get you in and out.
Right,
that's it.
Right.
So that's pro level guys. I treat them like that. Let them know that I'm here for them. And I also like to find something that I can connect with them. For instance, I did a session with a campaign with Anthony Davis, right? Same thing. I approach my intro always like that. Hey, how you doing? Blah, blah, blah. And then I know Anthony's like, he's working on his sleeve, right? But I know I got 2 sleeves. So I connected with him like, yo, man, love your tattoo. I'll never forget it. Yo, love your tattoo. You going to finish your sleeve? Yeah, man, looking to finish it. I'm like, yo, love it, man. Definitely finish it. I was like, yo, I never forget. I said, yo, it hurts right here. Hurts right here. He goes, yeah, really? He's like, yo, I love yours, man. It looks cool. So right there, we're building a rapport already.
Right.
Whether it's not even planned, but we're building like, oh, okay, like this guy's got tats. He's cool.
Right.
He's not pressing me. That's it.
Right.
So that's how you win in these situations. Then I got Anthony throwing the LA up sign right in my face. He's doing whatever I want him to do.
Right.
Sometimes these guys are not in great moods, and you have to understand that too. So you got to be ready to kind of like be able to plant and pivot and be able to move on to the next pose or the next set. If that, so it's very situational, Cal. Like it's very, very situational of like what it is. Or if it's a high school kid, they're usually more eager and excited. Like, yo,
right.
I'm going to be on Slam. Yeah, whatever you want. Wait, Johnny, you did this for Slam. Whatever you want to do, I'm doing it.
Right.
You're
the expert now, and right.
So you have to. The thing is, though, this is the key. Though you have to read the room. If you can't read the room, get out of the room.
Right.
This is what I tell people. If you can't read the room, you got to get out of the room. You got to be able to read the room, whether it's a campaign with Anthony Davis, right, or it's a Slam cover shoot with James Wiseman. You have to be able to read the room. Your heart has to be in the right place, though, for both of them. You have to want to create legendary, iconic imagery, but you have to be able to read the room. But that's the difference between a pro guy and a high school guy. And now, listen, last one I'll say, there's also pro guys that are new into the league that they're very excited. Right? Now, imagine this. Imagine you're DeJounte Murray, RJ Barrett. You're a year in, 2 years in. You get called to do. So for RJ, I did a whole campaign with Indochino for him, the suit company.
Okay.
He was jacked up. I haven't even posted this. I should actually go share this. Matter of fact, he was so fired up because, you know, it's his first big campaign. Oh my God, you know, I'm sure if he does 500, he's not going to feel the same. Or maybe he is, you know, I'm not going to say that, but I still approach it the same way. DeJounte Murray, I told him to get up on a hoop. I have photos of him on a hoop, like sitting on the top of a hoop. That's something that a high school kid, like a slam shoot would do, right?
Right.
Because they don't care. They're in high school. They love it. But usually a pro is going to be like, I don't know.
I'm not getting up there.
I just signed a $60 million deal, but I showed DeJounte like kind of what I wanted it to look like. And he's like, yo, those are hard, bro. Let's do it. So again, and I said, yo, if you don't want to do this, we don't do it. And I was like, but I'm telling you right now, if you go up there, this is going to be legendary. And he goes, yo, those are, and I showed it to him. He goes, yo, those are hard. But it depends. And if he didn't want to do it, bro, I just move on. That's it.
Right. You gotta be able to read.
That's how I approach my subjects.
That's cool, man. Hey, man, I hope everybody out there is listening. This is definitely legends talk right here, man. For real.
I just gave you some real deep inside the archives type of info there.
I need that, man. I need that for myself. And, you know, I just want to be able to share this information with those cats that are up and coming, or maybe even thinking about picking up a camera. You know, with it being so saturated, that alone might discourage somebody. You know, like, yo, there's too many people doing this. I'm not doing it, man. You know. Yeah. So
I used to hear that all the time, though, man. Cal, when I was doing it, there was too many people doing it. But guess what? I'm a story for you. This is gonna be a soundbite of the night.
Here we go.
A kid that wants to be a lawyer, right? His dream is to be a lawyer. There's too many lawyers out there. Trust me, there is, right?
Right.
The next kid, my cousin, wanted to be a doctor. Yo, there's so many doctors out there. How are you going to find a job? And you live in New Jersey, New York, this thing's oversaturated. You know, my buddy wants to do music. You know what the first thing people tell him? Dude, everyone does music, man. How are you going to break free, man? How are you going to break free? Yo, man, I'm thinking about taking photography. Johnny, why are you doing photo? You know how many photographers are out there, man? How are you going to break free? We live in a society that everyone wants to tell you what you can't do, but they don't want to tell you what you can do. And that's the issue here. So to all those young aspiring creatives, writers, doctors, lawyers, the person that tells you that you can't do something because it's so oversaturated, tell them fuck off and go work harder than everyone else. Be the best person you can be. Work harder than everyone else, and you'll get to where you want to be. Who cares if it's oversaturated? Everything is oversaturated.
Legends talk, gems right here, man. Gems.
Sorry for cursing, but you could bleep that one out. But it is what it is.
Hey, man. Hey, you could say whatever you want to say, man. Yeah. This is legends talk here, man.
That's the shit that gets me riled up, though, Cal. Like what you just said, because it's a real issue, man. It's a real issue, man, and that's what really bothers me, man. One of these artists that I get crazy for this, like Lizzo, right? You familiar with her?
Yeah.
She's one of my favorite artists, bro. I think almost of all time at this point, because what she's been able to do, like people don't know her story, you know, overweight African-American girl from Detroit to Minneapolis. Everyone turned her down, but then she barreled through because she didn't care she didn't care how she looked. She didn't care who denied her, and she made a name for herself. And then that organic authenticity and talent and hard work got her to where she needed to go.
Right.
So it's just we need more of that.
And you have to admire that. If nothing else, even if you don't like the music or what have you, you have to admire that hustle and that dedication to the grind.
Yeah.
But Johnny, in terms of your photographic style, let's talk about that for a second. Do you like are you more of an in-game shooter? Or do you like more of the, let's schedule a photo shoot and let's create something, wild?
Yeah, I mean, I battled this. I think in the beginning, man, I liked in-game a lot. But then once I got the taste of this scheduled photo shoot, man, it's like, I can't. I love this shit, man. Scheduled photo shoot definitely outweighs the game thing for me. And I don't know if that's because I haven't had a chance to photograph like the NBA Finals or the Super Bowl, or I haven't done like a full season. Like, I've done college games here and there. I've done Duke at Madison Square Garden. I do the Knicks. I've done, games here and there. maybe it's because I haven't had like that full game access, and it hasn't like. But to me, the scheduled photo shoots, man, I'm the one that has those images, no one else.
Right.
And I think for me, that's so valuable to me.
Right.
Like these photos that I have hanging on my wall, no one in the world will ever have these. Will ever have these photos. I'm the only one that has these photos.
How sick is that? Unless they went on.
If you really think of it like that, right? Like if you really think of it like that, like no one else has these photos. Like even, you know, and I think that's very, very like important to me. And I think that in 10 years from now, I'll look back and it'd be like, whoa, that's a lot of value there.
No, absolutely.
And I'm not discounting any game photographers, because with those guys, I know some of my good best friends are game photographers, and they also create lifetime of images. But just for me, I think the schedule thing, man, I love it, man. I can't lie. I don't know what it is. It kind of gets my blood going, bro.
Was there any like who inspires you in terms of your craft? Do you look at do you look to anybody else's style and try to emulate a little bit of what somebody else is doing? Like, how do you or is it all organic coming from your brain?
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, there's people that inspire me, but stylistically, I've always kind of lived by this quote by Lil Wayne. Used to say, man, back when he was kind of like in like the midst of the Carters, like the Carter 3, Carter 4.
Yeah.
People would, and I think there was a run there, if you remember, when he was just dropping verse, and just features and killing everyone. He was on his shit then. And I think he said, "Yo, I don't listen to anyone else because I don't want to get my creative mind fogged." So some people do look at other people and they're like, man, that inspires me, man. I like looking at other people's stuff. For me, man, I can't look at other people's stuff for inspiration because it'll cloud my mind. So like, I will look at it and be like, oh, that's dope. But I'm not going to look at it and study it and be like,
yeah, I want one just like that.
I'll start making my stuff want to look like that.
Right.
Subconsciously. And I can't do that. So I look at it from afar and admire it. Like I said, there's a handful of photographers that inspire me. And I think that their work makes me want to work harder and be better. But that's different than being like, yo, man, I got to shoot like that,
Right. Now, I mean, in terms of the people who do kind of inspire you, in terms of being a colleague or a peer in this world, who are some of the people that you respect and in terms of their work and their grind?
Yeah, for sure. And I'm just going to drop in a few names. And obviously, if I miss someone, it doesn't mean that I don't respect them. It's just off my head, because I think there's like 10 to 11. Just off the top, there's Walter Eos. I think everyone who's a photographer in sports he's literally like has photographed probably like some of the first Super Bowls. Not first Super Bowls, like the early stages of the Super Bowls. He's followed Jordan through his career. He has a lot of legendary moments. So Walter Eos probably one, and I think any other sports photographer would attest to that. He's just super unbelievable, just as far as his archives, and that's another thing also with exclusivity is like, how's your archive? In 10 years, how's your book look? Because you can be good in 1 year, but can you do 10 years of greatness? Can you do 20 years of greatness? So I think that's something that inspires me about him. Nathaniel Butler, he's probably photographed every NBA final. He's another legend. He does a lot of work with Knicks, Nets, NBA. Nat Butler. If you're a sports shooter, you know who he is. He was just at the Bubble doing amazing work. He's another one. Jennifer Potheiser. She's another name that has done legendary work. She's my actual mentor. I come to her as I was kind of coming up with just advice about finances. How do I move around things? So her, and I'll just reel off the next few names. Matthew Coughlin, he's a good buddy of mine in Florida. He does unbelievable work. My good friend, I'll call him my best friend, Michael M. Reeves. He works for Getty. He's lights out. He's from Lexington, Kentucky. He's from Louisville, Kentucky. Went to Kentucky. He's down in Miami, so he does a lot of Dolphins, Heat, Hurricanes. He does unbelievable work. He's another one that I love. Logan Riley, he's another buddy of mine. He works for the NBA. He does stuff with the Spurs. And a couple more, Adam Glamsman from Boston and Cooper O'Neill. These are some guys that I really admire their work, where I'm like, wow. Oh, and one of my other best friends, Steven Counts. No one really talks about him, but he's legend in his own. So those handful of guys, I may be missing one or two, but those guys really, I look at their stuff and I'm like, all right, it's time to level up.
Right. And
yeah, it's showtime.
I have absolutely no clue who.
No, it's all good. But if a photo guy would know, yeah. It's all good.
No, but shout out to those people. You know, I'm sure if you're mentioning them in high regard, I'm sure they're elite. You know what I'm saying? But what equipment for you is a must have, no matter where you're going to be shooting for the day?
Okay, so what I use, I'm a Canon guy, and just by chance, like I don't have I had a preference because that was my first one that I've had. So I use two Canon 1DXs, Mark IIs. They're sports cameras. I always bring them with me. I always bring all my equipment with me. My lenses are 24-70 version 2, 70-200 long telephoto lens. I have a fisheye and I have an 85 millimeter Sigma Art, and I'm also waiting on my new Canon R mirrorless camera. So I'll always bring those three. Excuse me, I'll bring two at all times if I'm shooting a game where I have the full access where I can hang up a backboard camera or a floor camera. I'll bring all three. But yeah, that's my equipment, man, and always comes with me. And I always kind of bring. Now lately I've always bring like a disposable or my film camera, my Canon film camera, just to give a little bit of creativity, like make it fun too, you know. Yeah, make it not work, you know.
Yeah, I've seen you with the disposable.
Yeah, little one.
I'm like, what the hell is Johnny doing with that? But no, that's dope, man. You know, in terms of someone just starting out, do you suggest, you know, any particular lens or you know, what lens? Yeah, what lens should somebody get when just starting out for the first time?
And they're just want to like feel it out kind of thing. Okay, I would say
they want some good shots. They want
some good shots. Okay, so I mean, there's levels to this. There's levels to this. Obviously, my first camera, and I think everyone starts with this, whether it's Nikon or Canon. Canon T5i, T3i, Rebel. You know, that's the ones that I started with. If you save up a little bit of money, you can get a 5D Mark III or a 5D Mark IV. So, but again, you got to know, hey, are you just doing this for fun to take pictures of your friends on the weekends, or like you really want to pursue photography? Then I would maybe start off with the Rebel. Get your feet wet a little bit and then save up. And when your finances are good, get either a 5D Mark III or a 5D Mark IV. You can probably get them at a good price at this point, and then just work from there. And whatever the equivalent to Nikon or Sony would be to those, I would do the same thing. I just know I know Canon because I have it.
Right. And are you opposed to any other brand, Sony or anything?
Just Canon, man. Just because, like I said, it's more like
the reputation alone.
I just started with it, so that's all I know. Like I've literally haven't took a photo on another thing, so that's it. It's not it's nothing bad against the other ones. It's just a thing that I started out with.
Right. Do you use any specific editing softwares?
Yeah, so I use Lightroom catalog, and I also use Capture 120 when I'm doing a lot of studio and lifestyle shoots.
That's dope, man. Everybody out there, I hope you're taking notes. You know, that'll get you started, and maybe you can be the next Johnny the Shooter, man.
Yeah, I remember. You know, it's funny. I remember when my Instagram name was Johnny the Shooter, and everyone, it was like I said, at that time in my life, 2017, 2018, like I felt like I was building that street cred, you know, in New York, and New Jersey. And if you're not from the area and you're listening to this, street cred is very important in New York, in the tri-state area. So I felt like that name, the Johnny the Shooter, everyone was calling me that. And I never forget, there was a moment in my life where I knew that, hey, I don't want to photograph high school stuff for the rest of my life. I want to become an artist. You know, I want to become this global brand. You know, I want to become the face of this shit. I want to do legendary stuff. And I want a CEO of a company, if he came across my Instagram, I want him to be like, wow, this kid's an art. Like this kid's legit. So that was the moment that I removed the Johnny the Shooter and I threw my last name in there. And I said, you know, I was kind of always embarrassed. I was embarrassed of my last name when I was growing up because it was very hard. I come from like a small suburban white town, dude. And a lot of the kids don't know how to pronounce my last name. So they would call me like Izquierdo. And you know, when you're young, you're kind of impressionable, and it really bothered me when I was younger because I was like, it'd call me like queer and all this stuff because my last name, I just didn't know how to pronounce it. So it kind of scarred me, man. And it wasn't up until like a few years ago that I was just like really proud of my last name.
Embraced it. And,
yeah, for sure.
And yeah, man. At the end of the day, you want to be professional, and in the rooms that you're going to be, that you're going to be talking in and shaking hands in. You know, probably the shooter is not probably the
my point exactly. Well, it's the trajectory that I want to go in, right? It's kind of like I want to be, like I said, the greatest at what I'm doing. I want to be a global brand. I want to be somebody that can influence the youth. I want to be my own entity. So yes, in the rooms that I want to be in, the people's hands that I want to shake, and the legacy and the legacy that I am chasing, I had to do that. I need to be this guy.
Right. Absolutely, man. Johnny, man, natural light versus studio light, man. What is it? What's the best for you?
It for me, yeah. It really see, and I don't want to sound like I'm copping out on this answer. It really depends what you want to go for, right? Like, what look do you want? Do you want do you want a natural vibe with a little bit of edge and shadow, and it's not so polished? Then natural light may be it, right? Maybe the client wants that, or maybe you want that for your project. But if you want something like that light, and it looks like a magazine, you can have magazine natural light, but it's a little bit more crisp. It's a little bit more right. It seems like refined, a little bit more polished. Then you go with the light. So it really depends. You know what the answer to this is? Understand both, know how to do both, know when and when not to use both, and then you win.
Right.
That was an obsession I had of mine. I was like, I have to understand light, whether natural or studio, because then I know how to move. I put myself in control now. That at any time of the day, I can photograph, because it doesn't matter, because I understand how to do it.
Nah, absolutely, man. That's the way to go. Understand both, and then when you need to pull, you don't want to be in a room where they have studio light and you can't operate because you're used to natural light. So absolutely, man. In terms of the details, what like in terms of the details of your photographs, what details do you think makes the best photographs, and how do you go about focusing in on those details in your work?
So you're asking me what details make,
like you just said, some people like the more crisp lighting with the where the photograph is looking more like a magazine as opposed to something outside, or what kind of details do you kind of follow, and how do you ensure, how do you go about focusing on creating those or having those details show in your work?
Yeah, for sure. I got you. Again, so for me, whether it's natural light versus studio light, and like especially with what I'm trying to portray, whether it's details, whether it's a shoe, whether it's emotion, whether it's a portrait of a face, it really depends. Like it's kind of like your question back to like, how do I treat someone like KD and a high school kid? Like, how do I treat that person with photo, which is exciting? It's very situational. It's very like, hey, what do I want to create here, right? And how can I create this? So if I want to photograph you on a porch, at your hometown, to kind of tell the story, like maybe I don't need a studio light, or maybe I do, depending on the vibe that I want. But mainly though, is that I want to make sure that I can lift the emotion out of the photo, and you can grab that emotion with natural light. I don't want to act like that natural light is like whack. It's not, dude. If you're nice with it, you don't need to shoot with 18 lights to make yourself dope. You know, right. If it's just understanding what you want to do, what you want to portray, and how can I go about executing that is the key to all this stuff.
Right. You know? Now, I'm not the most seasoned photographer. I just kind of picked it up and jumped on YouTube. And,
that's how I used to do it.
Asking around. Hey, I remember being at an event and literally asking around. Hey, how do I? My pictures aren't coming out right, man. How do I change this? Or how do I? And people just tell me like, hey, click this button, and I'm back. Yeah. I'm back to square one. But that garden light though, definitely had me looking like almost half of Johnnie the Shooter, man. Half of the quality of Johnnie the Shooter, and I was happy with that. With that.
I hear you. Yeah. It's stuff like that with photo. You got to it's with photo and a lot of things in life. It's just trial and error, man. You got to like learn. Right. You got to learn on the job. You got to learn by trying it and trying different things and messing up. And that's a life lesson. That's not even a photography lesson. Right. Too many of us are scared to try things. We're scared to fail. We're scared to mess up. So we'll never even give it a shot. But people don't understand that there's nothing wrong, and there's no losing in life. There's losing in life if you allow it to be a loss. Like for me, I'm either winning or I'm experiencing.
Right.
That's it.
And learning.
So and that's a learn, which is a win for me.
Right. It's a win-win.
You know, so I
way,
win.
man.
Yeah, I mean, just to say it,
Hey,
I
man.
win. I'm always winning because when I'm winning, I'm always winning because when I win, and even when I lose, I'm winning because I'm gaining something. Yeah, I'm gaining experience. So
Right. Don't let that go over your heads, y'all.
I know you might have to rewind that, but listen, it may help one of y'all up. You know, trust me, it works. And that's a mindset thing, Cal. That's a mindset thing, though. That's not just I'm gonna write it down and say it. You got to believe that shit.
Of course, and you got to live it. You got to live it and believe it. But Johnny, man, we actually coming down to the time. Just about an hour here. And I'd like to kind of thank you for taking the time out to come talk to me and kick it with us here on Legends Talk. Again, you my man are inspirational to a lot of people. I wish you nothing but the best. I wish you nothing but LeBron shoots and and KD shoots, man. And
Appreciate that, man.
I just and I'm happy. I'm happy that to know you, to know you at the friendship level that we're at. And again, man, you're just like the most humble guy, man. That's just just like the rest of us, man. And
I appreciate that, man.
you just had some good breaks, and you capitalized on those. So salute to you. Salute to everything that you're doing. Do you want to talk a little bit about the podcast that
let me just drop a quick thing. Yeah, let me just drop a quick thing real quick. First and foremost, man, I really appreciate the kind words that you're saying. And, I got to thank my parents for that, for like really raising me and keeping me around a good support system. Because I think you're only as strong as the team around you, right? Jordan couldn't be Jordan just being Jordan. He had Phil, he had Scotty, he had Kukoc, he had Rodman. So you have to have a good support system around you to be successful. So I definitely want a big shout out to my parents and my friends from home for keeping me grounded, level-headed, and hardworking. With that being said, obviously I appreciate everyone who tuned in and checked us out. But yeah, I'm launching my podcast series called Sunday Dinner with Johnnie Izquierdo and my vlog series called Sunday Dinner. They'll both be launching early to mid-November, and I'm going to just hammer that home, just like I did photography in the beginning, having fun with it and really diving deep and looking to be to take my career to the next level outside of the camera. So I'm super excited, man, for everyone tuning in. And obviously, if you guys can follow me on Instagram at Johnnie.Izquierdo. My last name's right there, so you can I don't have to say it out. And my website is www.johnnyizquierdo.com. But again, Cal, I really appreciate. I'm glad you and your family are doing good. Glad this All Things Hoops looks amazing, sounds amazing, and I'm happy to be a part of it, man. And looking forward to seeing you the next time at the Garden for sure.
Hey, somewhere we're gonna run into each other somewhere, man. One way or another, we're gonna run into each other on on that sideline. But again, man, for myself, for All Things Hoops, this is Legends Talk, everybody, and we're out.
All right, peace, y'all. Appreciate it.